Skyrim is full of all sorts of exotic and beautiful creatures. From the majestic mountain rabbits to your mother-in-law, there's almost too many to keep track of, and certainly too many great choices to limit yourself to being just one of them for the entire game. So, f*** it, let's be all of them. Can you beat Skyrim as a Ditto? This challenge has been almost 2 years in the making. I've wanted to play Skyrim or Fallout as a Ditto for a long time, but it was only recently my spores began to spread and others started to awaken to how great it is to not be human. I even considered calling this challenge something else, but when Bubby once again created beauty out of my mind's madness, I knew it was Ditto or nothing. To play as a Ditto, I used the Skyrim Species Randomizer mod, which works with the Playable Monsters mod, to become a Mitten Squad's wet dream. Every 5 minutes, I'm transformed into a new creature by the mod. I don't have to pause the game and use a console command to make shit happen. Let's go back to that beginning for a second. I want to show you something special. By setting the field of view all the way up to 180, you can see what I see in real life. Even the boundaries of reality clip in and out of view, just like my nose does on a constant basis. I chose a Khajiit as my race because I couldn't see what any of the other races were, fixed my vision with a simple trick most doctors won't let you try. Alduin showed up, I entered the keep, and hit the switch to trigger my cataclysm. Sadly, when I found out about this mod, it was still a newborn. The bugs and glitches and quirks and features haven't been ironed out of its skull yet. Occasionally, you'll transform into something that completely breaks the game. Other times, you won't be able to attack anything at all, regardless of your equipment. Most creatures have no first-person view. Carry weight is the charisma of physical attributes, meaningless and infinite. You can't jump, sprint, or crouch. Those are basic human concepts that can't be applied to animals. Overall, the Skyrim Species Randomizer is not even remotely close to being the buggiest mod I've used, but considering the fact that it works at all, I'm not upset about it. That being said, this was not easy. Animals are weak and confusing. Deer, for instance, hit like a stationary freight train. I brought out my best set of eyes to take in the surroundings, tried to kill a butterfly, settled for watching it uncover its mysteries, picked the water stone for the free flippers, and hit the beach. With a dead dog, I didn't stay in Riverwood for too long. Rumor has it the town's been struck by a case of the blues ever since their town mascot passed away. I have a feeling they'll see him again one day. On the road to Whiterun, I settled a debate with a couple street performers, transformed into this, and realized how many creatures exist in Skyrim that I'm completely ignorant about. Like, what the f*** is this noodle thing supposed to be? At the farmland, the hunter-gatherers were unimpressed with my attempts to aid them. I ignored my primal urges to eat the cats. The guards at the gate saw right through my Halloween costume. Up in the Jarl, I explained to the Jarl that the dragon attacked Helgen as the headsman was trying to go to town on me with an axe. Keyword there, trying. Have you seen my neck? The Jarl gifted me a baby blanket as a thank you, and I got a secret mission from the Secret Fire. After a quick spin move to impress the donkeys named Lydia, I was on my way to Bleak Falls Barrow. As an insect, I'd never been more prepared to take on the bandits calling the crypts their home. But this home is not theirs. It has been, and always will belong to me, the Purple God. Still near the entrance to the caves, I dropped the timer down to 5 minutes from 6. Over the span of several hours, this will increase the chaos and let me see the world through as many eyes as possible. I needed the experience to take on the 8-eyed bitch down in the web room. Since my last visit, it's learned to escape the confines of its container. Once I cut Orville in half and retrieved his Dragon Ball, I made a big decision. As I just said, I wanted to see as many creatures as possible. Waiting decreases the transformation timer substantially. Waiting in 2 1-hour increments makes the 5 minutes fly by. Waiting can't be used in combat or when enemies are too close. I considered it to be a feature of the challenge rather than straight up cheating. I went into the sleeping barracks as a Dwemer Centurion. I could have glassed the ground they walked on with no effort. Instead, I chose to be a skeleton that can barely take 2 hits from a basic Draugr before dying. Really, I did it to run up the clock. The Draugr Overlord Slap Attack is one of the few attacks capable of putting a Draugr back to bed. Of course, just as I can't know if I was really a Draugr Overlord, 2 Overlords cannot exist in the same space at the same time. Having a mere 5 minutes in my true form, I wasted no time stealing from the local library, killing the Draugr Overlord, and returning the Dragonstone to Farengar. Jarl Bolgrif called upon the city's favorite hero and a detachment of his army to go fight the dragon flying around near town. While his queen was heading for the watchtower, I was busy taking swimming classes and almost drowning to death. After recovering with help from God, I blew past Irilith, jumped the castle walls, ate and became an armored troll as the sun was setting. Tragically, the dragon was educated, something me no expected to happen. He wouldn't land anywhere near me. All he did was take pot shots from the sky. The few times he did land were on this rock that I couldn't reach. Eventually, he ran out of tricks to perform, forcing him to land right where I wanted him to, on the ground. I could count with 2 arms the number of swings it took to end that dragon's life. its soul entered into mine. The Jarl thanked me once more, I became engaged to a donkey, and set off for hrothgar. Unsure of what I was or what I had to offer the world, I punched a mud crab a couple times. Her memory lingered in my vision until I found a new target, ate a couple deer, and pulled an Oliver Swanwick by winning the lottery. I'd become a giant. As pointed out by Andre the Giant in my Fallout 4 video, being a giant isn't all it's cracked up to be. Movement is limited, or the mod broke. I have the power of a god crackling through my fingertips, but when I use it I become stuck in place forever. It's a real monkey's foot situation. The big bad wolf stole all the tomatoes from Iverstead, went on a mountain climbing adventure, devolved into a house pet, and arrived at hrothgar to meet the Greybeards. Seeing as these are secluded old men living at the top of a mountain, I became a hot woman in hopes of convincing them to skip the part where I scream on them. God thought I might try that, which is what the shout-dependent creature option in the mod settings is for. The big disappointment for this mod is that you can't become any of the normal races in Skyrim. This is two mods working together. It makes sense that you can't become an orc, or a Khajiit, or an elf, but as someone who never plans on using this mod again, I think that'd be a fun addition. Outside, Arngir had me run through the gate as my final test to prove that I am Dragonborn. Apparently the sun running away from me as I pulled out my fists wasn't enough, and despite having all the available equipment under my belt to perform his task, I couldn't whirlwind sprint through the gate. I'm learning an assortment of shouts right now, due to almost dead men having an intimate knowledge of dead languages. Reverting back to my original form didn't grant me permission to pass his test. I think the purple stink down below is still the main culprit. One console command later, I'd proven myself to them and could set sail for Ustengrav. Back in Squidward's tentacles, I took the fight to a family of giants hiding out in the open, got back at that mud crab that tried to punch me earlier, a dog tried to fly, which gave me an idea. Combine the practicality of a shell with the gift of flight and the trolls in Labyrinthian won't know what just kissed the pavement near the entrance. The shell itself is a safety feature for you, the viewer. You don't want to see what happens down below. Near Ustengrav I turned into an ancient marble and immediately tried to drown myself. My body fought back by straightening my spine, and I stole a horse. Tried to, at the very least. Snoopy can't be a lawyer, marbles can't ride horses, the Stormcloaks are f***ed up mentally, and now their camp matches their personality. One of the horses killed the real Paul out in the wilderness. At Ustengrav, I flippered about, probably grossed out the bandits whose face I was in, cheered on the souls making the brave journey to the afterlife, did the same to a skeleton or two or four. Couldn't whirlwind sprint through the gate, was chased into Delphine's bedroom, read her note, and Skyrim crashed. Finally, dying has a consequence. Occasionally, for reasons us humans aren't meant to understand, Skyrim hangs on the loading screen when you die. You may see, in moments of panic, me reloading a save the instant I die. That's to try to keep a crash from happening. Delphine could tell by my smile that I was the Dragonborn, the one she'd been waiting for. She explained that it's my destiny to stop Alduin from destroying the world. That job belongs to me. The sun isn't afraid of me anymore. It works for me. Alduin has no hope of surviving me once I put the bullshit aside and reveal my true self. The gods will remember this moment for decades. Fuck! Being a rabbit, I had no means of defending myself, but that didn't stop any strangers from asking for my help. This dragon was as smart as the last dragon, which was disastrous for every Paul within earshot. I hadn't the flesh or the bones necessary to kill the beast without assistance from a fellow lover of death. I disrespected the debt I just made and attempted to meet Delphine back at Riverwood. I couldn't fast travel anywhere without the game committing a great sin. Fast traveling was great while it lasted, but those days are long behind me. If I'd fast traveled instead of traveling on wheel, I wouldn't have been able to shoot pencils at a cat. Then the crashes started happening again. In times like these, I turned to Mother Earth for help. I flash froze the entire planet with a pause, went into the settings, generated a new seed, and tried again. The seed determines which creature I become, and generating a new seed turns the timelines of all Pauls everywhere into a jumbled mess of a leftover slinky. After returning the horn to its parents and being welcomed into the club for universally cool kids, Delphine heard trotting outside her door and bent over her desk for some reason. Her plan for me is to use my curse from a loving god to infiltrate the Thalmor embassy. I fast traveled as close to solitude as I could, it works now, and would have been happier with a crash than what I got. I'm a skeever again, for the first time in years. Some of you are as curious as I was about rats sitting on human furniture. Can it happen? No. Disappointed, I gave Malborn what I couldn't live without and found a possible speedrunning strategy at the farm near Solitude. Normally, you put on the party attire and get on the cart yourself, but if you're already dead on the inside and have philosophical disagreements with clothing, she'll ship you to the party herself. No walking to the cart required. You guys can have that strategy for yourself. All you have to do if you use it is name all of your children after me. Name your first daughter something like Paul number 4 and your second kid Paul number 1 Jr. A mind f*** will get you farther in life than work will. You're looking at living proof of that. I've managed to sneak an entire wildebeest into the party right under my ass, and not one person is saying anything. As the mounted Reichling monster, I had, at the low end, 550 health. The Thalmor weapons couldn't cause me enough pain to make me admit that I felt any discomfort at all, and the timer was running low. You can't wait inside the embassy, and everyone wants to kill you. Waiting for this being to expire so you can become something else isn't an option this time around. In my new form, I'm pretty sure the Thalmor could tell why I was crashing their party. I was transparent in my intentions. Gisser lucked out that the door wasn't made to fit all people. I'm a Falmer something or other now, never been good with names. Plus, its head looked like that disco parasite snail I saw a couple days ago. It too would spank a soldier to death with an imaginary sword if given the chance. The little guy who rode on me into the embassy didn't make it. I returned to Delphine, and in my next transformation, I could finally jump. What creature did Paul turn into that could jump? Was it A, a coyote, B, a mud crab, C, an ashhopper, D, a werewolf? B. Mud crab. Only the mud crab can jump and attack at the same time. There's really no creature like it. Inside Riften, Maul got a little too close to me and felt the unfeathered after effects of my rage just as the livers in the Ratway did. When I became a mother even deeper in the Ratway, I refused to take part in any violence. When I spawned, a couple ice clouds spawned in too. Let's hope they didn't have an accident near that burning fire I passed. That'd be tragic. Only in the real world can an accident be killed by another accident. Reunited once again, Delphine thanked me by ordering across the fucking bloody world again. I took a wrong step somewhere and ended up in heaven, disproving my claim that all virtual dogs go to heaven when they die. Then I went to hell, Mickey and Minnie's house, killed them both, was genuinely disgusted at how large Grandma Mitten's claws are, and after arriving at the ticket booth for Skyhaven Temple, engaged in the ultimate battle of good versus evil. Who wins? Evil wins. You know how I know? My two-handed weapon skill is going up when I attack with a one-handed weapon. Now we're in the worst timeline. But wait, it gets worse. Seconds after I sacrificed my favorite paw to unseal the dragon door, my soul erupted, and so began the trials and tribulations of Mitten Squad. Esbern would not give his speech, no matter how forcefully I tried to coax him into it. I asked him twice. Ran outside, left, came back, tried being his favorite animal that isn't Lydia. Nothing worked. All I could do to press forward involved cheating. I crossed adultery off the bucket list, asked for help from the High Council, and set the stage for a grand evening. I was able to use the Clear Sky Shout to begin my ascent to the throat of the world, where I met Parthenax, the leader of the Greybeards, and the only being capable of teaching me how to defeat Alduin. The long and short of it is that I've got to dig down to the rock bottom of the Dwemer ruins, crawl through Blackreach, and retrieve an Elder Scroll sealed away by ancient elves. That quest begins way up north in Traverse City, where a descendant of Lieutenant Haggerty lives. His hut is a breeze to find. A pointy triangle made of ice. There's a waypoint for its location after you talk to Arnold at hrothgar. So, without that waypoint, I set out to find the hut of Septimus Cygnus. Eventually I found him. I'll get to the black hole cluster he's at the center of in a moment. This guy is the leader of the revolutionary army known as the Reapers. He's from the Soul Cairn in the Dragonborn DLC. The Soul Cairn is where every soul trapped in a black soul gem is sent. It's a place devoid of life. A dry, barren wasteland with no water. You would never know that the skeleton's Reaper is clearly visible when they're submerged in water. I hope that was enough of a fun fact for you, because we're officially out of fun. Fun can't exist down in the Dwemer ruins. However, I'm glad this happened. There's no substitute for experience. As a skeleton who couldn't land a single shot to save his life, I finally understand what the skeletons feel when they get relentlessly bullied. Halfway through my life, I found the mini-boss. A trap springs out of the floor, blows me apart, and takes this to the next level. Dying can still crash Skyrim, except it's not a straight-to-desktop crash. It's a pull up the task manager on a second window and spam click the kill this f***ing game already button in a fit of rage type crash. I got a little worked up there. I shouldn't have said that. The spinning machine only killed me once. I walked around it the second time, but couldn't walk around gravity. I'm at the big fall, and I usually supplement my drop from orbit with the Become Ethereal Shout to absorb fall damage. And that was my plan. All I lacked were the dragon souls necessary to unlock the shout. Since my return, I've played Fallout 4 as a cripple, finally used the ammo exploit in Fallout New Vegas to fix an old friend, did the same thing in Fallout 3, and now I'm taking that idea to the next level in Skyrim. I'm gonna take the right and proper path down this ramp. So much pain, but thankfully, the torment of the Dwemer ruins is behind me. So, funny thing, I never found Septimus. I kinda lied to you. I forgot that you need his GameCube to get the Elder Scroll, and that educated asshole forgot his memory card. What are we gonna do? Play with the stock characters in Melee? F*** that. I'd rather stay here in the basement and listen to your parents scream at each other 2 floors above us. Faced with such an issue, I tried to think of how others might handle it. Drunk Paul would have done shots and screamed from his balcony. High Paul would have paused the game for 2 hours to get nachos and came back 3 hours later, sad about not getting nachos. But sober Paul, well, he's not like those other 2 freaks. I shouldn't have jumped that far ahead. I had to find Septimus before I could do anything else. Like I've said, he's a northerner, through and through, way far beyond the College of Winterhold. Deer and other land mammals aren't meant to be out this far. After finding that prick, I got a sneak peek at Brother Bear 3, killed a rabbit, and made my way down to the Dwemer ruins for a second time. I entered as a bear, became a Draugr Scourge Lord, then an armored troll, then a dragon priest, before settling on the rabbit. Not for comedic purposes, that abandoned mineshaft prevented large creatures from entering the cave system, like a defense mechanism. Sounds horrible, right? I'm a rabbit, so I can't attack, plus there's this purple stink that won't leave me alone. But it gets worse. Rabbits are the forks of the animal kingdom, weak as when unenchanted. A single hit kills me, and I never know how far away I am from death until I die. Speedrunners and parents know what I learned here all too well. Mistakes add up. Take a corner wrong here, hesitate there, and you're dead before you reach the Great Descent. A man might have waited here in safety until the timer ran out to become something else, but I ain't got time for that. Rather than waiting in that corner, I just disabled the mod altogether for a second. My next transformation granted me a reprieve from the slow torment I'd just experienced, yet was still not enough to survive the Blades of Justice. The trick I learned was to follow them down the hill, then back up and tell death you don't feel like it. Predictably, I couldn't fit my ass down into the secret passage to Blackreach, and Skyrim made me beautiful. Finally down in the Mushroom Kingdom, I fought nothing and retrieved the Elder Scroll. At the throat of the world, I tossed the paper into the time crevice, learned a new word, and battled Alduin as a Draugr Ultra Lord, ebony sword and all. Alduin should have seen me as one of his own, an undead brother to play with. I'd be his chew toy any day. Sadly, Alduin must be grounded before he can be damaged by any attacks, and the assortment of monsters in the Shouting Pool lacked the same excitement as the non-Shouting Pool. Once Alduin was slain, the quest to end world peace began. 2 sides, Imperials and the other, must be convinced to lay down their arms and come to a meeting on neutral territory. Jarl Stormcloak respected me for reminding him that I was the guy he saw at the chopping block in Helgen. Tullius obeyed my command like a good dog. And then the council. I'm a marble. We don't sit. Well, before my timer was up, I was transformed into a Draugr, which made no sense. The game wanted me to sit, but the fluid that lubricated my joints decades ago has become a stain on my knee pads. Flexible legs I have not one, but none of. In a twist that shocked some of you, I never had to take a seat. Being involuntarily transformed tricked Skyrim into advancing the quest. From there, I summoned a dragon and readied myself to ride to Skuldafn. This was the Skyrim equivalent of calling your mom to come pick you up because you're scared, and she shows up to give the other kids a ride to the liquor store while leaving you behind. Then you black out and wake up where you were always destined to go, where you can live out your wildest dreams of being Ray Romano. Dragons all about. Undead who know how to scream and shout. The only thing bigger and more unstoppable than a mammoth was the letdown of being unable to damage anything. If I can't attack anything as a mammoth, the logical step forward is to do away with offense completely and go all in on agility and charisma. What I'd forgotten was that there's a time to care about your appearance and a time to get shit done. I faced my fear of the Marble Man by working with him rather than against him. Together we absorbed soul after soul after soul, cut down Draugr by the dozen, solved impossible puzzles. I learned my final word and emerged outside to slay me a dragon priest. As I two-shotted all the Draugr along the road to Nokrin, I knew with his already half-crippled body, he wouldn't stand a chance. Some electric bullshit zap attack nailed me. I became something fast, made it to Sovngarde, and spoke to Soon about entering the Hall of Valor. Gaining entry is easy. Just fight the bouncer and then nobody will be left to stop you. The pig in me wanted to stay and fight like a man, but the man in me felt safer running away. I couldn't win a fight with him. This is a secret space, you can't wait here. So instead I waited there the old-fashioned way. F***ed up Soon, escorted myself inside, and gathered all the ancient heroes to take on Alduin. After the disappointment that was the first fight, I did us all a favor by knocking down my transform time from 4 minutes to 15 seconds. However, what I didn't know was that the new time starts on the next respawn. I sat behind a boulder while the timer ran down. Alduin got down on one knee. I killed him so nobody has to live with the guilt. Soon sent me back to reality, and I beat Skyrim as a Ditto. If you enjoyed the video or learned anything, leave a like. Leave a dislike if you didn't enjoy the video or didn't learn anything. Thanks to the champion tier supporters as well as other channel members for making videos like this one possible. Join the Mitten Squad Discord server by going to mitten.land. Follow me on Twitter @MittenSquad. My name is Paul of Mitten Squad. Have a wonderful day. Alright.